It's Selena. She's all over the place.
Yeah. What? What'd she say?
She's all over the place.
Which one's Selena? Selena. Oh yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, she's a rebel.
She is.
All right. So last week I talked about, or last time we were here, I don't know when it was, but we talked about probability of picking a king in a deck of cards. All right, now let's talk about what the question is asking. When a question is asking you, what's the probability of picking a king, then that means that success is picking a king, right? Winning is picking a king. All right, so we need to write that down. We need to say probability of a king is equal to winning. Okay? It's also equal to success, because they're saying that you're betting on picking a king. All right? So anything, okay, what's the complement of success? My favorite word.
Failure.
Failure. Okay? So that means anything else would be losing or failure. Now that's going to be important later on. I want to go ahead and put that in there today because we didn't cover that last week or whenever last time we were here. We only got to the complement. All right? So the complement of failure is success. The complement of success is failure. So the probability of a king, we said, was 4 out of what?
52.
4 out of 52. So 4 out of 52, which is equal to what? 1 out of 13 or something like that? Somebody check that for me. 4. Yeah. All right. So then the probability of failure would be what? Well, what's 48 over probability of not a king? And I like to put an X through it, but the book will do what? They'll put a line across it. So you need to write that down so you'll know what that means. The line across the K means the same thing as not a king. That's what the line means. Okay? So the probability of not a king would be 48 over what? 52. Which, if you could reduce that, what would that come out to be? Well, 4 will go into, we know that 4 will go into 48. We know that 4 will go into what? Or we could just say what? 12 out of 13, right? I just wanted to see if somebody would that up, but evidently not. Okay. Now, the reason I'm going through this is because we're going to ask for odds against after we finish this. Okay, we are finished. So, they're going to ask the odds against. Why the odds against? Because the odds against is what Las Vegas is set on. Okay? Now, when I say Las Vegas, I mean any type of what? Ooh, that's not right. What do you associate Vegas with?
Gambling.
Gambling. So anytime you're talking about gambling, I don't even know if that's right or not. Is that right? That don't look right. I hate when you write a word down and it doesn't look right. And it is
That's right.
Might check. Is that right?
Yeah.
It don't look right, does it? It don't look right at all. Odds against is the probability of failure over the probability of what? Success. Now, there's two things you need to note here. One, the probability of failure is 12 over 13. The probability of success is 1 over 13. Second thing you need to know is keep it in fraction form. Why? Because all you're doing is multiplying, dividing by the fraction, which means you're going to multiply by the what? Reciprocal, which means that the 13s are going to cancel. So, if you do it by if you do it by calculator and get decimals, you're digging yourself a hole because you got to use the calculator to finish the problem. That's why we got people that can't give correct change or spell bomb backwards. All right, so odds against. I'm going to put odds against is equal to probability of failure is 12 out of 13 over 1 out of 13. And multiply by what? 13 over what? 1. So therefore, the odds against is equal to 12 to what? 12 to 1 with a semicolon or a colon, whatever you call that thing. Or you could write it 12 over 1, or you can say 12 to 1. Okay? Now what in the heck does that mean? Well, I'm going to go to the next whiteboard, and I'm going to show you what it means. So let's just put this on hold, and let's go to the next whiteboard. And I'm going to write down a recipe. I don't even know if that's spelled right. For 2 dozen. Let's make it 1 dozen. Let's make it go easy. 1 dozen cookies. Okay, now I'm going to make up this recipe. I'm going to make it up for instructional purposes. I don't need any of you cooks out there to correct me. Okay, this is just for instructional purposes only. So I don't need, oh, you don't have any butter in there. You're not going to have it. Shut up, okay? I'm not, it's just a recipe, okay? Oh. Anyway, who's that just, oh, yeah, just come on in whenever. That's fine. How was IHOB? You know, it's called IHOB now. What the heck is some of these people thinking? IHOB. That sounds like some kind of person, homeless person or something. Look at that IHOB out there. But how was IHOP? Was it good? Breakfast good? Late lunch? What'd you have? Did you go to Waffle House? No, you just.
I had to drop my niece and nephew off.
What?
I had to drop my niece and nephew off. I babysit them on
Listen,
Thursday.
family comes after math. You got to get your priorities straight. See, that's why you're going to fail. All right. 2 cups of milk. 1 cup of flour, 2 eggs. I'm trying to make everything nice. 1 stick of butter. So somebody's going to say I got to put butter in it. And 1 cup of sugar. All right, there's my recipe. That's my recipe for 1 dozen cookies. Now, what if I want to make 2 dozen? Okay. Well, this makes 12, right? 12 cookies. So 2 dozen would be 24 cookies. 24 divided by 2 is what? 24 divided by 12 is what? 2. So I'm going to multiply all of my ingredients by what? 2. Don't say double because you're not thinking mathematically. Okay, you are thinking mathematically, but you're not thinking about how you got that double. This is how you got it. 24, and this is important right here. 24 divided by 12 is 2. So you're going to 4 cups, 2 cups, 4 eggs, 2 sticks of butter, 2 cups of sugar. Okay? What if I want 48 cookies? 48 divided by 12 is what? 4. So I'm going to multiply everything by 4. And I get 8, 4, 8, 4, and 4. Everybody with me? Well, what if I want 56 cookies? Well, somebody take your calculator and multiply 56 divided by 12. What do you get? Okay, spit it out. 4.67. So I'm going to multiply all my ingredients by 4.67. Now a lot of you would say, oh, well, why don't you just make 72 cookies and eat the rest of them? that's not the point. The point is, I am each one of these. This is what's called a multiplier. What does a multiplier do? It multiplies your ingredients, right? That's what it does. Look at what is the form of the multiplier before you simplified it. It's a what? Fraction. Just like our odds against. Okay? So I want you to go to the previous page, and I want you to put down there where it says odds against, I want you to put in parentheses or highlight or whatever you want to right here. I want you to highlight it, and I want you to put multiplier. Because that's what it is. It's a multiplier. It's just like the 2 when we doubled the ingredients. It's just like the 4 when we quadrupled the ingredients. And the 4.67. Okay? Which most of you would just multiply by 5. Okay? Just eat the rest of the cookies. Alright? So the whole point is, what are we going to do with this? Well, let's say that Mr. Lowry goes to Las Vegas and he's got $500 in his pocket. And he bets on picking a king. $500. $500. And what is the odds against winning if he picks a king? What did we say it was? 12 to 1. So you're going to multiply 500 because he bet 500 over 1 times what? 12 over what? 1. That's your multiplier, 12. So somebody multiply 12 times 500. Dang old 6,000, isn't it? What is it? I can't see. What? So he wins how much? $6,000. Okay? There's an old saying, nothing's what?
Free.
Nothing's free. All right? Why did he win so much money? Because the probability of the card is very what? L? Low. Good. That got to tell you what. Y'all are exceptions. Okay? The probability is very low. If the probability is very low, the odds against are going to be very what? High. Write that down. Write that down and learn it. Whenever a probability is very low, the chances of you winning is very low. But if you bet on that gray horse or you bet on that very low hand, what are you going to take home? A lot of money. Now, let's do the alternate. Let's say that you go to the Las Vegas, and let's say that you play the penny slot machines, and the probability of winning with a penny slot machine, penny slot machine, probability of winning is, let's say, 4 out of 5. Okay? Then therefore, the probability of not winning is what? Complement of 4 over 5 is 1 over 5. So let's do the probability. So what is this saying? What's the probability of winning at penny slots? High or low? It's high because it's 4 out of 5. So let's see what happens when you bet $500 on this one. Okay? Or let's just say you're sitting there watching people and you're just a gambleaholic or whatever you call it. And you say, I want $500 if they're going to win. Okay? We're just going to bet behind the penny slot machines because their probability is very high. All right? So let's see what happens. Failure is 1 over 5. Success is 4 over 5. Multiply by 5 over 4. Uh-oh. Oops, 5 over 4. You get 1/4. So multiply 1/4 times 500. Multiply 500 by 0.25. What do you get? You only win $125. Why? Because the probability of winning is very what? Vegas is not in the charity business. Are they? What is Vegas what are they in the business of? Making money. So they're going to give away a lot of money? No. And what if you win a lot of money? What's the first thing they start doing? They start watching you and make sure you ain't what? Cheating. Okay? There's a lesson behind this, okay? If the probability is high, if you're going to win is high, then you ain't going to win very much what? Money. Low odds. If the odds are low, you're going to go home with pennies or change. You're not going to go home with the $6,000 or the $12,000. Who won the triple, what's it called, Triple Crown? Justify. Justify just won the Triple Crown. Hadn't been done since Seattle or Secretariat or whatever her name is. The other horse that won it. Okay, hadn't been won in a long time. But the whole point is, if you go to the racetrack, and let's say you bet on Gray Horse, which he's a piece of crap, okay? And what's the odds against Gray Horse winning? Well, you put it on the board. They say that 75 to 1. Okay, 75 to 1. And what's his name? Justify. The probability that Justify is going to win is what? Well, it's not very, it's like 2 to 1. He's going to win no matter what. Okay? So 2 to 1. And you say, well, I'm behind in payments, and I'm going to bet $500 on Gray Horse. And I'm going to bet $100 on Justify. So either way, I'm going to get some money out of it. All right? But you're a gambler, so you bet $500 on Gray Horse because you owe the loan shark money. Okay? And you got to get some money somehow. And you bet on Justify because you got to have a taxi ride home, so you bet $200 on Justify. Because you know you're going to win with Justify. But you want to win more money, so you bet on the dark horse, because if you bet $500 on Justify, all you're going to get is $1,000. So you bet on the gamble because you're thinking, well, Justify may break her leg, or his leg, or whatever, and Gray Horse might win. You got to always think about that in the back of your mind, because at 75 to 1, if a freak accident happens and Gray Horse wins, how much will you go home for? Somebody multiply 500 times 75. What do you get? $37,500. If Justify wins, you get what? $400. Why? Because Gray Horse has no chance of winning. And you're putting money on the loser. Okay? And if something happens, you're set for the rest of the year. You pay the loan shark off, what, $5,000 you owe the loan shark, and you go home with $30,000. That's why you see some people at horse races, they'll bet money on the top 3 and the last 3, or the top 5 or the last 5? Because chances are they're guaranteed going home with some money. And if something happens, lightning strikes, and knocks out the first 5 horses, then you got the chance of winning more money with the last 5 horses because the first 5 were knocked out or something. You know, that happens. They do a muddy track. What happens to the horses sometimes? They fall down and trip up 2 or 3 horses behind them. That happens. And that's taken into effect. So when you go to Vegas and you go over and you see the slot machines and it's a nickel for a slot machine, you know to pass those because you're not going to win any money. You might win $10 or something. But the ones that have $1 that you put $1 in, those are the ones, you know, if you have 2 sets of slot machines, the nickel slot machines and the dollar slot machines, which one you want to win money off of? The slot machines with $1. Now, is it going to be easier to win with the nickels? Yes. But you're not going to, you may win $60 there and $600 on the dollar machine. So it's whatever you want to do. If you want to feel good about yourself, then you play the nickel machines because you might win more. But you're not going to win more money. But if you want to win money and go home with money in your pocket, you would play the dollar machines. Same thing with roulette. We'll talk about roulette because that's a test question. It's not only a test question on my test, it's also a standardized test question, so we'll go over it. Now, I'm not going to draw a roulette table because I can't draw, but a roulette table is the table. I guess I will draw it. A roulette table is the table that has the spinning wheel on it, and you got the slots, and they're numbered and colored. All right. 2 are green, and I'm just going to use the letters to show what color they are. So, and they are 0 and 00. They're green. And then the others, let's see how many we got. I'm going to color black and red. Black, we'll go with 1, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 15, and so on. Okay, the odds. And then the evens. The evens are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and so on. You with me? Everybody with me? All right, so let's say that there's, on these slots right here, and I'm just going to highlight them yellow. Those slots right there, let's say there's 42, let's say there's 40 slots, okay? So there's 40 slots, 1 to 40. Everybody with me? And there's 2 slots in green. Okay? And the 40 slots are odd and even. And the 2 slots are neither odd or even. I hope I spelled neither right. Neither odd or even. They want to know what is the probability of the marble falling on an even number. And then they want to know the odds against. And then they want to know, what if you bet $100? What would you win? What would you take home? All right, so I want you to start on that. With what we just did, figure up, of course, I'll give you a hint. How many are even out of 40? Come on, 20. Okay? So I'll give you that much. 20 are even. So, but the second part, the odds against, is the failure is not 20. So you've got to figure out why it's not. And if you can't figure it out, we'll just say you're going to move on. So 2 good horror movies are coming out. Halloween, October 19th, and The Nun. Yes, they come out, The Conjuring 2. Conjuring 2, The Nun that was in Conjuring 2. Oh, she is scary. That's the only 2 horror movies I've seen in the past year that's halfway decent movie. Yeah, I like Stephen King, but to me, that's not a scary movie. It had scary parts in it. It's more of a drama more than it is a scary movie. But it was a good movie. I like it. Never thought that somebody could draw worse than me. Dang. So y'all already established that 20 over 40. Sorry, 42. 20 over 42 is your what? Your winner, your success. All right, here we go. What's your failure? What's the complement of 20 over 42? 22 over 42. Now somebody tell me why it's 22 and not 20.
Because you have the 2 green.
Because of the 2 green, okay? You have to count those because the marble is going to fall in one of those sections, the green section, the black section, or the red section. You can't just say, oh, well, we're just going to ignore the green slots. We're just going to ignore those. You can't do that. All right? The denominator has to equal the number of slots on the wheel. And the 2 numerators have to equal, the sum has to equal that number also. So if this is 20, this has got to be 22. I don't care what kind of argument you give me, it has to equal the denominator. 20 plus 22 is equal to 42. You can't say 20 over 42 and 20 over 42. To me, that's saying, okay, we're going to ignore the 2 slots on the green, the 0 and the double 0, and you can't do that because the marble could fall in those 2 slots. Okay? So, let's do the odds against. I'm sorry, failure, probability of not even is equal to 22 over 42. Therefore, the odds against is going to be probability of failure, which is 22 over 42 divided by 20 over 42, which is multiplied by 42 over 20, which is equal to 22 over 20, which is equal to 11 over 10. And you better not use a calculator because you just have to move the decimal 1 place to the left. Okay? So, 1.1. Now, what if you bet $100? Well, 10% of 100 is what? 10. So you win 110 bucks. So multiply that by 1.1, and that's equal to 110 bucks. Okay, somebody explain to me why we didn't win Jack. Why didn't we win any money? We only won 10 bucks. Why?
That's the odds.
What? The odds of winning was high. Exactly. Why? Think about it. Why are the odds of winning high? Why are the odds of winning high? Somebody tell me why. Look at the wheel. Why is the odds of winning high? Because you got how many slots that are even? 20 out of 40 basically, and that's half. So your probability of winning is 0.5. Is that high or low? That's high. Gambling standards, that's high. There is no way that Vegas is going to say, oh yeah, it's 0.5. We'll put a 50 to 1 on it. No, they will not, because they'd be giving away money. All right? The reason that this is low, that's your profit right there. The reason that's low is because this is what? That's high. Now I want you to bet on the 0 or the double 0. See what you get. And bet that same $100. I want to know the probability of landing on 0 or double 0. That would be how many out of 42? 2. There you go. Somebody tell me what they think as far as taking money home. Somebody tell me what you think before you even do the math. What do you think? We're going to take a lot of money home or a little bit? A lot. Good job. Probability of 0 or double 0, which is equal to 2 over 42. Therefore, the complement of 2 over 42 is what? 40 over 42. Which means that my odds against is going to be 40 over 42 divided by 2 over 42, which means multiplied by 42 over 2, which means 40 over 2 is equal to what? 20 to 1. So I'm going to multiply that $100 times 20, and what I get? So you're going to take 2,000 home. Well, yeah, you're going to take 2,000 home, but how much did you win? You won 1,900. And this is one bet right after you bet on the odd or even. So the marble didn't change. The roulette wheel didn't change. What changed? Your pick. Instead of picking 20 out of 42, you picked how many? 2 out of 42. And that changed the whole game. You can't go, if you go into Las Vegas or a casino and you have no earthly idea about probability, just turn around and what? Go back out. Okay? Unless you're going to play the slot machine. If you're going to play the slot machine, play them all night. But don't go up to the roulette table or the craps table or the poker table or the 21 table, blackjack or whatever. Don't do that if you don't know basic probability. Okay? Because you're going to get your lunch eaten. Okay? And another thing, when you go into the casino, they go so fast, you don't even know what they're saying. The only one I could play was the blackjack table. And I had some idea of what was going on there. I won like $300 or $400 when I went, I think that was Denver, when I went to Denver for a while back. But the whole point is, I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know a lot about probability, but that's the only table I could do something at. The roulette table, there were so many people around it. Why? Why was there a lot of people around the roulette table? Because there's so many different ways to what? To win. Blackjack? No. There's not a lot of ways to win because the deck is always variable. There's always a variable between the dealer and the what? The player. And you got 5 players there, it makes it even worse. So if you go over to the roulette table, that ball, you can bet on an even, you can bet on a black, you can bet on a red, and you can bet on a 0, 0, 0. If you bet on 4 of them, guess what? You're going to win some money because it's going to fall on a black or a red. It's going to fall on an odd or even. And it's going to fall on 0, 0, 0. You're hoping it falls on what? 0, 0, 0. Capisce? That's how you do odds against. So, now what about odds in favor? Well, odds in favor will be 1 to 20. But usually you don't need the odds in favor because that's not really what gambling is set up on. All right? Question. Now, I want you to tell me what is the probability of landing on a red 4, which is the only one there is, and the odds against, and then I want you to bet $500 on a red 4. So do that one, and that'll be 3 types of questions that you can do on a roulette table, or two. So, the odds against a red, the probability of a red 4 is equal to what? 1 out of what? Therefore, the probability of not red 4 is equal to 41 over what? And now you can pretty much say it's going to be 41 to 1. So odds against is going to be 41 to 1. You bet $500 times 41, and what does that come out to? $20,500. Now a lot of you are saying, psh, I'm not betting $500. Are there people in Vegas that does this? Yeah. You remember the guy that shot up the concert? He was one of those guys. That's all he did for a living, is gamble. And he would go to a table and he would lay $500 down on a number or whatever. And if he won, he just quit that night. Or he'd go. I'm not a gambler, so I don't know how you do it. I don't know if you just spend the rest of that money, or you spend it all night, or you put it in the bank. I don't know what they do. But if he'd walk around and he'd do one table after another, and then he'd put 500 here, he'd put 500 here, and eventually he would hit on one of them. And when he hits on one of them, since the odds against are so high, he would take home $20,000 with just one hit. Like I said, nothing's free. There's always a catch, always. And the catch here is the higher the probability, the lower the what? Higher the probability, the lower the what? The lower the odds, meaning lower the what? Money. Lower money. The lower the probability, the higher the what? Higher odds, which means what? More money. Okay? And that's something you need to remember, especially if you ever go gambling. Okay? Now, why is poker so difficult? Well, first of all, there's so many different types of poker. All right, there's straight poker, there's deuces wild, Texas hold'em and hold'em or whatever, but the concept is still the same. What is the probability of a player having a royal flush? Very, very what? Low. So if you bet against a royal flush, chances are you're going to win because it's very what? It's a very low probability that you're going to hit a royal flush. Okay? Now, a lot of people say, which is the most mathematical? They're all mathematical, but I would say out of the two, I would say blackjack and poker. Those are two of the higher mathematical probability games. You can actually think about what's going on, not just, the ball falling in a, There's nothing mathematical about that ball falling in one of those holes. But can you ascertain if somebody is bluffing with a hand in poker? That takes a little bit of skill. It also takes a little bit of skill to actually bluff somebody, and say, okay, I call, or I raise you, and act like you got a dadgum royal flush when you don't have anything. Okay, so there's 3 or 4 variables that go into gambling. Okay, so that's why I'm saying if you go on a trip and you're gonna go gambling, and if you failed probability and statistics, then chances are you want to stick with the slot machines. Okay? Period. Question on odds against, odds in favor. Yes, no, maybe? Everybody got it? All right. Well, that takes care of that section. The next section, and y'all just follow along in the book. I have no idea what section's in this book or which. But the next section is going to be the additive rule. Somebody look it up. It's in there somewhere. I think it's 5.2. I'm not sure. 5.2. I'm just going to write the additive rule. Somebody look it up and tell me if it's 5.2 or not. Additive rule.
5.2.
Okay, good. Additive rule. 5.2. Okay. Look in that section in your book and tell me if the additive rule is the word, I got a secret word for and, or the secret word or. Look in the book, somebody tell me. It'll say it probably the second page after you see the additive rule. And or. It should be or. Okay? But look in your book and check it out for anybody that's got a book. Because sometimes I get it mixed up. The additive rule should be or. The secret word or. Somebody look at it. Miss Show, you have a book. Can you see?
I'm looking.
Okay. It should be in one of those blue boxes. It'll say that the word for the additive rule is or and. I think it's or. Okay. And the other thing you got to remember about the additive rule, always, I'm going to write this in red because this is important. Always subtract the overlap. And I would ask you if you've got any highlighters on this one, maybe you need to get them out because this is where you need to use the highlighters. You find it yet?
No.
It should be in there unless this book really sucks. Let me see.
How is it? For any 2 events, E and F.
Okay, it's and. Okay, my bad. They have additive rule on that, and?
Yes.
Okay. What page is that on?
247.
Okay, let me pull it up for y'all so y'all can see it. I get them mixed up all the time. At least I tell you. All right.
What might be
Chapter
E or F?
contents.
I don't know.
Ma'am?
Yeah, it doesn't really say. It says for
Okay.
any 2 events, E and F, but then it says E or F equals.
Oh God, what a surprise. I ain't even gonna go there. I can't even go there. I tell you what, I'm not gonna say a word. Additive law probability. There we go. Pretty bad you gotta go to Google because your IT hadn't. Okay. When two events, A and B, are mutually exclusive, the probability is A or B, or. Okay.
Or,
It's
okay.
Or. I was right. Or. Okay? So, write down the word or. I just wanted to verify. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm going to tell you to get your highlighters out since some of y'all are nursing students or nursing wannabe students or nursing wannabes, whatever. We're going to use dang old RH positive and RH negative. RH positive and RH negative. And most of the time, these are going to be in some type of table form, or you're going to put them in a table form. Let's see, there's A, B, O, and AB, right? I think that's the blood types. And 4, 10, 2, 6, 3, 7, and 5, 1. Okay? So you'll be given a big long paragraph, or you'll be given a small paragraph or a small sentence in a table. All right? Most of the time when you're dealing with the additive law, you want to put it in a table. Or put it in some form of a table. And you want to take your handy dandy highlighters and you want to highlight the probabilities. Now I'm going to write down a probability, and this is what the question will say. It'll say find the probability of A or O. That's what it'll say. And the word or is telling you in the question, it's going to say find the probability of A or O. That or, I like that or right there. Highlight it because that means additive law. So, first thing you're going to do is you're going to find the total. Now, what's the total? Somebody tell me the total. You're going to add up what? N is always your biggest number. How are you going to get a big number from those numbers? Add them all up. So do that. Find your 10s. There's a 10. There's another 10. That's 20. There's a 30, 37, 38. I got 38. See what y'all come up with. Look for your 10s. That's the easiest way to count. There's a 10. There's a 6 and a 4. There's a 7 and a 3. That's 30, 37, 38. I believe I showed somebody that one year, and they thought that was the greatest thing since the calculator. And I'm like, how did you make it through school not counting by 10s? Anyway, amazes me how people go through 12 years of school and not learn a damn thing. I'm serious. I'm serious. They did not know how to take those numbers and they'd go 4 plus 2 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 plus 5 is 14, 14 plus 10. And they would add that way. And I'm like, good gosh, let's just take out a bullwhip and whip you with it. I mean, that's punishment. But anyway, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just weird. To me, 10s and 5s are easy to add. That's why I do the 10 here, the 10 here, the 10 here, and then you just add those three numbers. To me, that's easy. But anyway, I'll shut up. All right, so I take my highlighter, and I take whatever highlighter color this is, and I mark A. Shoop, there I go. And then I take another color, and I'll color it verde. And I color this. All right, I'm ready to do my additive law. Here we go. And I'm going to put all this over, I don't forgot what the number was. What is it, 38? Did somebody check it for me? Is it right? And then I take my yellow pen, which somebody's going to say, I can't see that. And I'm going to put 10 plus 4. And then I'm going to add my Verde pen. And I'm going to put plus 3. No more coughing in class. 3 plus 7. And then I add those two. And I get 10 plus 4 is 14. Plus 10 over 38. And that's going to give me 24 over 38. Now I'm going to circle that. I know you can reduce it, and I also know you can turn it into a decimal, but I'm going to let y'all do that. I think all of y'all can do that, pertaining, of course, following the directions on the homework and test. It may ask you for a decimal. It may ask you for a simplified fraction. I don't care. All of y'all can do that. All right? So, well, what about the overlap, Hubert? There was none. Do you see overlap of the two colors? No. So, if it ain't broke,
Don't fix it.
don't fix it. I heard one, don't fix it, and two, articulate volume. All right? I know you. I think that's what y'all said. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you don't have an overlap, then you don't need to worry about the overlap. Capiche? All right.
Capiche.
Now let's go back. It's easier for me just to do it like this, because if I try to erase it, it just won't work, and I'm not going to do that. All right, now let's do RH positive or B. RH positive or B. Now the good thing is, it's still over 38. The 38 hadn't changed. Okay? If you're 6'2", can you get shorter than 6'2"? No. If you've got 38 people in a group, that's not going to change. N will always be 38 in this question. So 38 is the denominator. So we take out our handy dandy highlighter. And we do RH positive. And then we do B. Now my my yellow is 4 plus 2 plus 3 plus 5. My Verde is 2 plus 6. Now green and yellow, I don't know what that makes. We're going to call it blue. That's the what? That's the overlap. So I'm going to subtract the overlap. Now here's where I have the ones that invented mathematics. They say, well, Hubert, why don't you just cancel them out? Are you the teacher? No. Okay, so that's the answer to that question. All right. The reason I don't just cancel it out is because I can't just cancel it out and not show you why. The reason you cancel it out is because you're using it how many times? Twice. So you got to cancel one of them out. That's why. Now it's easier for me to show you the overlap and then tell you to cancel. And yes, you could cancel. You can mark that blue 2 and that yellow 2 out, or you can mark the blue 2 and the green 2. I don't care what you do after this point. All I want you to know is, why do you have an overlap and what to do with the overlap. Okay? So now I'm going to take my red pencil, and since I know what we're doing now, I'm just going to mark those 2 out. And I'm going to say, okay, 4 plus 2 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9, that's 14. 14 plus 6 is 20. So I get 20 over what? Y'all check my math. And then, of course, reduce or change into a decimal as needed. And that's how you do the additive law. Now, the only thing you're going to have a problem with is if they don't give you a table, and then you have to make a table. There's a question in the homework about returned, not returned. Let's see if I can do it. Maybe I can do it. I don't know if I can remember it or not. But they're going to give you a bunch of stuff in a paragraph, and it's basically going to say, out of 100 people, there was 2 groups, 18 to 22 and 23 to 29. I'm just going to make up 2 groups. There was 7 here, and there was 43 here, and then returned and not returned. Returned, there was 25 surveys returned, and not returned, there was 75. Everybody with me? Or 25, that's 50, 25, 25. There was 20, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have 2 of the same numbers because that'll confuse people. Hold on a second. I think that's 50, right? 50. Let's change that to 20. 20 was returned, and that means 50, 70, 30 was not returned. Okay? And they'll put this in some kind of paragraph. Write this down because I remember there is a question either in the homework or the test has something about surveys sent out and returned, and there was 2 age groups. Right? So the first thing you do is you know that n is equal to what? 100. So that's your denominator. And then you say 18 to 22, and then you say 23 to 29. And that's this. And then you have right here, and then you have returned and not returned. I think I got it messed up. Hold on. Yeah, I got it messed up. You can't do it like this. Well, I'm just gonna. You take the information here. I got to pull one up. I didn't write it correctly, but let me go to the homework and pull it up because I don't want to lead you astray by doing a problem that I made up because sometimes I don't take them out enough. So let me make this back to the homework. What section is this? 5 points. Let's go to study plan. That way I can pull out whatever the book has. Let me go down here and nope. 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 Okay, there's a table. That's not it. There's a table. Give me a second. Well, they're giving you tables. I might do that one, but I want to see if there's one that's written. I remember one, it's the age groups. Okay, they didn't do it here. Okay, we'll just pull one up. Fatal car crash, weakened gender, complete parts. A through, I'm not doing no A through E, that's too much. A through D. I can't just ask something simple. They don't give you simple ones in the, okay, I'll go to the table and do this. All right, write that one down. That's the question. discuss smoking cigars. I can't handle that. I'm weird. I'm sorry. Never smoked cigars. Former cigar smoker and current cigar smoker. Died from cancer. Did not die from cancer. So since they're not giving you any paragraphs that you got to make a table out of, I guess it's a good thing. Y'all don't have to work as hard. Miss Shelley, I'm sorry I was talking about cigar smokers. I didn't mean to offend you.
It's not me. It's her, Selena.
Oh, okay. She's a cigar smoker too? Hey, gum.
She is.
That's hardcore. That's almost as bad as that gum Marlboro Reds. Whew! I can't handle either one of them.
Just take it on me.
Y'all tough. You gotta be hard. You gotta be tough.
Can you read that?
No.
I can see 74, that's what I...
So at least they give you N. What is N? 134,360 men. Notice there's no women in here. That's a good thing. All right. What is the probability that if a man is selected, he died from cancer? Well, that'd be this column right here, would it not? So you take your handy dandy highlighter. Where's my board? Oh man, Russians. There we go. All right. I'm going to take my highlighter and I'm going to highlight that column right there. Boom, that's it. So somebody take 689 plus 74 plus 118. What is that? $134, 360. What? 881. So that'd be 881 over 134, 360. So boom, there you got that. What does it say do? I don't see anything that says round to 3 decimal places. So they don't want a fraction, they want 3 decimal places. All right. If an individual is randomly selected in this study, what is the probability that he was a current cigar smoker? So I take my handy dandy eraser and I erase the highlight. And I get my highlighter again, and what are they asking for? Current cigar smoker. Somebody take 118 and add it to 9703. What is 9703? Be dang old 9821. I know, y'all are impressed. All right, that's that one. And it says probably round to 3 decimal places. An individual is randomly selected from this study. What is the probability? Okay, here we go. Okay, so it's and. It's not or. My bad. Whatever. It's and. I thought it was or. Okay. What is the probability that he died from cancer and was a current cigar smoker? So I'm going to take my handy dandy eraser and I'm going to take 2 colors of the highlighter. What's the first one? Died from cancer. And take my green highlighter. A current cigar smoker. All right, do that one. I want you to write it out in your notebook. Write out exactly what you're doing. I'll do the denominator for you. The denominator is 134, 360. There you go. I did that for you. 134, 360. You're going to take a yellow, take a green, and you're going to take a blue. Somebody take 689 plus 74, is that 881? Is that what that was? Huh? 881. And the green, I think we decided was 9821. Is that correct? And then what's the overlap? Now somebody crank out that math on the top and tell me what you get on the top. Dang old 116, 117.02 or something like that. What is it? Oh, I added the green and the, okay. What'd you get? 10,584. Is that what everybody got?
Yeah.
Over 134, 360, and you reduce and put decimal places as needed. All right, you do the last one. Wait a minute, they can't do that. We haven't went over the multiplicative law. They're doing OR also. They must have. Okay, let me read the question. If an individual is randomly selected to study, what is the probability that he died from cancer or was a current? Okay, you can't do or. That's the multiplicative law. We haven't covered that yet. Let me type these in and see what they're doing because they're mixing the two. You can't do that. Okay, what's the? Somebody tell me what the decimal is. Is 881 over 134, 360? Tell me what it comes out to be. 3 decimal places, right? I'm sorry, what?
0.007.
Okay, we got that right. And what's the B? 9821 divided by 134, 360. I'm sorry, what? And let's see what they're doing here because somebody give me the 90, what'd you get right here? I got it over there, but I don't have the decimal. What's the decimal? Zero 78
Or 9.
079.
That's multiplicative.
Yeah, that's the multiplicative law.
You didn't type it in.
I didn't want
You didn't type it in.
9. I'm ready to quit. 9. Okay. Number lock. 9. Thank you. Yeah. So they're doing the multiplicative law there. Now what's the answer? 0.071? 0.079. How do they do the multiplicative law when they hadn't even covered it yet? Okay, I'll show you. Don't worry about that C because I'll show you the multiplicative law next. Doesn't even say anything about the multiplicative law, does it? Book sucks. All right, let's go to the next question. Next thing I want to do. Multiplicative law. See if 5.3 is the multiplicative law, please. And that would be the word and. Why do both of them same section? Ma'am?
It is.
Okay, see, we're not even in that section of homework. We'll look at that. I'll look at that question again, but I believe they're doing the multiplicative law. All right, the multiplicative law. The multiplicative law is usually around the word and. Okay? Now, the only thing you have to worry about with the multiplicative law is, in red, with replacement or without replacement. Okay, let me explain what that means, because we need to spend a little bit of time on that with replacement and without replacement, because that, if you don't understand this, you're going to suck at the multiplicative law. All right? So let's jump over to another page, and I'm going to explain the multiplicative law. I meant not the multiplicative law, with or without replacement. And the best way to explain it is with a marble bag, not a Marlboro bag. Lord, no, that's worse than dang old cigar bag. All right, a marble bag. And this marble bag has 15 red marbles, 12 blue marbles, 3 green marbles, 10 magenta marbles. Never seen a magenta marble. And let's pick blue. Let's pick yellow. And that should be, let's see, that's 40. 10 yellow marbles. Now, if I ask you, what is the probability of picking 3 red marbles in a row? And I tell you with replacement. So that would be 15 over how many? 50? Raised to the 3rd power. Okay? 15 over 50, and that's equal to 15 over 50 times 15 over 50 times 15 over 50. That's what that means. Okay? Now, why did you just multiply it by itself? Because what did you do with that marble when you picked it up out of the bottle? What did you do with it after you wrote it down and said, okay, I picked up this color marble? What do you do with that marble? You put it back in the bag. When you put it back in the bag, that means with replacement. With replacement means the stats are not what? Affected. And I don't know which affected to use. I never did get that in English. I don't know which one is A and which one is E. So, and don't try to explain it to me because I'm an old dog. I don't need to be taught. Okay? So stats are not affected because I put that marble back in the bag. Now I think that's called independent in the book. Somebody look it up. All right? With replacement means independent, which I think means independent. It means that the stats are not affected. I think that's supposed to be an A.
It is.
I thought so. Okay? I think effect is more present tense. Affect is like past tense. I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway, all right. So that's one thing you have to. Is with or without replacement going to be stated in the question? Usually, yes. But they may say the probability is independent or something like that. But independent and dependent, I think, if you look in the book, independent, I think, somebody verify, means that with replacement. And the stats are not affected. The numbers are not affected. So the next one will be 15 out of 50, and the next one will be 15 out of 50. Versus without replacement. That would be 15 out of 50 times 14 out of 49 times 13 out of 48. What happened? Why am I dropping one? Because I'm taking that marble that I picked and I'm putting it in my pocket instead of putting it back in the what? Back. That's without replacement. Without replacement, the stats are affected. Without replacement, stats are affected. I think that's what you call dependent. I can't remember. Anybody verify that? No, somebody multiply 15, take 15 over 50 and raise it to the third power and give me 4 digits. Somebody do that. 15 over 50 in parentheses and raise it to the third power and give me 4 digits, please.
I got .027, and that's all I got.
0.027, and that's it?
Yeah.
Okay, now take 15 over 50, put that in parentheses, multiply it by parentheses 14 over 49 parentheses, multiply it by parentheses 13 over 48 parentheses equals, and see what you get.
.0232.
I'm sorry, what?
.0232.
Is there a difference between the two? Yes. There's a difference. 0.023 versus 0.027. There will be a difference with small numbers. After 3 digits, after around 300, you start to see a big difference. I mean, you don't see a difference. So what you need to do, what happened up there? After 3 digits, and I usually tell students 300 and above, it doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter which one you use. What do you mean, Hubert? Well, let's say that instead of 15, we've got 150. No. Let's say we've got 1,500 and 1,200 and 300 and 100 and 1,000 and 1,000. All right, now I want you to do the math with replacement, without replacement, and see what kind of numbers you get. Okay? So this one would be 1,500 over what? 5,000? Somebody check me. 1,500 out of 5,000? I think if you add all those up, you get 5,000, do you not? 1,500 is what? 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Yes. All right, so somebody take 1,500 divided by 5,000 and raise it to the third power. What do you get?
0.027.
I'm sorry, what?
It's the same.
It's the same. Now do this one. This one you're going to take 1,500 divided by 5,000, 1,499 divided by 4,900, and what, 1,498 divided by 40, no, that's 49.99, and 49.98, sorry. So now you got 1,500 over 5,000 times 1,499 over 4,999 times 1,498 divided by 4,998. Now multiply those three out and tell me what you get. I'm sorry, what? I need, give me 4 digits, please. 0.0269 what?
6962.
Now tell me what the difference is between them. There's no difference, Hubert. That's right, class. All right, if you take the 2, round that up, you get 0.0270. So, what's the difference? The difference is you got bigger numbers. Bigger numbers, it don't matter whether you do with or without replacement. Now, where's a good number to start with? I'll say around 300. After about 300, when all your numbers are above 300, chances are it doesn't matter which way you do it. Comprende? Now, there's a question that you might see. You might tell me what time it is because I don't see it on here. What time is it?
Almost 2.
Okay. We'll cover this last question. CDs. You work at a CD factory. I think there's one, used to be one in CDs that you buy and you record on and stuff like that, if they even make CDs anymore. But anyway, let's say that there's, in a pallet, there's 4,950 CDs on this pallet, or in this box. And your quality assurance at the CD factory, that's what you do. You go through and check the CDs to make sure that they're correct, all right? In the past, you have found that 20% are bad in the past, okay? And you want to go through and pick 3 CDs. If all 3 are bad, you're going to pick 3. If all 3 are bad, you're going to send the box back to where they made them. Like, you're not going to send it out. You're going to send it back to the area that made those CDs and say, look, there's something wrong with it. Something wrong with the machine or something. You need to get it fixed. Okay? So what is the probability of picking 3 bad CDs? Okay? Now, let me ask you a question. If you're a quality assurance person, are you going to pick a CD, write it down, and then put it back in the box? No. So this one is automatically without replacement. But does it matter? No, it's 4950. You're talking BA numbers. BA numbers, it doesn't matter. All right? But we're going to do it both ways just so you can see it doesn't matter. First of all, how many are good and how many are bad? Well, how much is 20% of 4950? Somebody take 4950 and multiply it by 0.2. Tell me what you get.
990.
I'm sorry, what?
990.
990 are bad. So therefore, what's the complement of 990 to 4950? 39 what? 3960 are good. So therefore, I'm going to pick 990 over 4950 raised to the what? 3rd power. Somebody do that and give me 4 digits. 990 divided by 4950 and raise that to the 3rd power. What do you get?
0.0080.
Is that what you got? 0.0080. So now we're going to do 990 divided by 4950 multiplied by 89 divided by 4949 988 divided by 4948. Somebody multiply that out, and it's better to do it in parentheses. Just take 990, parentheses, 990 divided by 4950, close parentheses, times, parentheses, 989, blah, blah, blah. That's the best way to do it. Give me 4 digits here. 0079. What's the difference? There ain't none. All right, so again, this one, you have 4 digits, and your 990 is above 300, so it doesn't matter which one you do it. Even though they will tell you without replacement, or with replacement, or whatever, it doesn't matter when you get to the BA numbers. Okay? So, now you are ready for 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3 homework. Now, I haven't forgotten about 4.1 and 4.2. We're going to go back there, but I want to get the probability down first, and then we'll talk about causality and all that good stuff, okay? Correlation and causality. So right now, we got one more section to go over, and that's the accounting section, and we'll do that when y'all come back next week. And then the latter part of the week, we'll go over chapter 4.1 and 4.2. Any questions on what we went over today? All right, y'all get out of here and have a good day. Any questions? Just see me after class.